Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Shadle. I'm the graduate enrollment coordinator here at WallaWallaU University. So I wanted to welcome you to tonight's presentation. We're here today to talk about everything you need to know to be prepared for fall quarter as a graduate student at WWU. We do have quite a few people joining us. A few of you are still trickling in here, so we're going to get started. This will be recorded, so you can watch it later. Don't worry about that. At any time during the presentation, if you have questions, you can ask them by typing them into the chat box. I sent a couple messages there, so it should alert you to where that location is. We will get all your questions to all of them at the end of the presentation, which should take about 20 to 30 minutes. If you'd like to download the slides that we're going to be covering, you can do so. You can download them at any time. They'll be shared here shortly with you. There should be a panel on the right side of your screen, or if you're joining us from mobile, it might be a little bit different, but you should see a download button to download the slides. Again, though, this is being recorded, so if you need to know, you want to rewatch it later, you can definitely do so, but we will share those slides with you. So let's jump into the presentation. I'm going to turn the camera off, and we'll get rolling with the other important items we have today. All right, so this screen is representing my WWU. Sometimes internally we call it my WU, but let's get started by talking about my WWU. You probably had some interaction already with this, but it's very important. My WWU is our student portal, and the login you use here will be used for all applications and sign-ins as a student. This is where you can see your grades, account balance, information about financial aid, access other important applications that we'll be touching on a little bit later in the next presentation, technology tools like Brightspace and Microsoft Teams, and those items. And this is also where you begin the financial clearance process. Some of you probably already went through that. Some of you still need to do that. So you'll be able to access that once you've been accepted. You should get a notification about setting your My WWU student account, and then you can get access here. Go through financial clearance process. Do that early as much as possible, and then you can also register for classes. And this is where you'll finalize registration through registration finalization. Right now, most important thing for you to look at is check your to-do list. And you can access this in My WWU under PeopleSoft Student Center, or Student Center Classic, I think it's called. And in the applications menu, kind of there on the right side. And that will list things that you have left to do that maybe Student Financial Services, records, other departments may have on there for you to complete, and they'd like those completed before the year begins. So you can click on each item. It should give a little bit more information. And there are usually instructions for how to complete the task or who to contact. That would be best for each one. If you are unsure, you can of course reach out to me. Be happy to help take a look at that and get you sorted. As soon as you are accepted, I'll repeat this again, you should receive login instructions for My WWU. I would say as soon as accepted or within a couple days. And as part of I think an automated email that help desk sends out. You'll ask to choose a password. And if you've never logged in before, you'll find it's pretty easy. For most of you, your username is going to be first name dot last name, and then whatever password you chose is what you'll be entering. If you can't remember it at any point, never picked one, but you know you have a student kind of username, WallaWallaU email address, you can click sign in to My WWU, and then there's a forgot password blue link at the bottom. If you click that, you can, and if you continue to have problems logging in, contact computer support, our help desk, by phone or email. I will list their information again as well at the end, but you can see it here on the screen in the slide. And if you do have to leave a number, try to leave your ID number if you can, best phone number to reach you at, and a short description of your problem. If we do have some younger students, those of you joining us right out of college into the master's program, and maybe your parents are still helping you out with lots of things, or those of you that are married and feel very busy and your spouse is helping support those. Computer support will only talk to the students themselves. So whoever's the student, you'll need to call and correct account information, or if you need to reset password or things like that. Help desk will work with the students only, so you'll need to be the one to call. All students are given a WallaWallaU email address, accessible through the Office 365 or Outlook email app. You can get access to all the Office suite as well online by clicking the Office 365 through my WWU. And the university will primarily send a lot of information to your WallaWallaU University email account. So it is important that if you have it set up now, to start kind of getting in the process of checking that. We do our best to try and send some to your personal email as well, but be checking both of those, especially once you begin. A lot of information will go to your WallaWallaU email account. So one thing you might be seeing on the to-do list for some of you is financial clearance. So let's talk a little bit about that. If you haven't finished financial aid application, you should do that immediately. There is a FAFSA available through the government, and then we have WallaWallaU University Graduate Student Financial Aid Application, which is an institutional aid application that you'll want to complete as well, or at least any of you U.S. citizens joining us, or eligible non-citizens. Right now, we are able to respond with an award letter, usually within a couple of days of you submitting all that information and being accepted to your program. But as closer we get to school starting, the delay might increase. If we are missing information, anything from you for this process, it will be on the to-do list that I mentioned. If you have questions about financial clearance, recommend watching a recording of a presentation they did within the last few weeks covering financial clearance process. And they covered everything in detail there, but to quickly review, financial clearance is the process that all students go through each quarter. It checks to make sure that you've made your down payment, completed any necessary forms or for financial aid. The process is open right now for fall quarter, so if you haven't completed it, it's a good time to do so. It's a pretty straightforward process, shouldn't take too much time. This is this first time it will take a little bit longer because most students will have loan forms to complete, permissions to review, but after you make your down payment, it's about a 90-second process. And some of you possibly could not need a payment, but those are varying circumstances. The deadline to complete financial clearance is 4 p.m. on the Wednesday before classes begin. So for 2023, that would be September 20th, 4 p.m. You'd want to make sure you're all done and financial clearance is completely taken care of. You can be sure or know for sure that you've done the financial clearance when at the end you see that bouncing Benjamin, that $100 bill represented here on the screen and kind of the right side. So if you see bouncing Ben, you've completed financial clearance, and we will begin dispersing or distributing the financial aid during the third week of the quarter. All right. Some students may have borrowed additional money for living expenses and need to access that money. And this is something that you will handle during the financial clearance process. And I'm going to go through the questions that you'll be asked. In the presentation we did on financial clearance, we talked about an envelope new students will be getting from Bank Mobile. That's the bank we use to disperse funds to students. So first, when you get the green envelope from Bank Mobile or the emails they send, you want to log into their website and tell them how you want to get your funds. You can have them send a paper check, deposit into an existing bank account. That's what most students will utilize, or use a Bank Mobile checking account. Also, during the financial clearance process on the permissions page, you can select when you want your funds sent. As soon as possible at a specific time, or we can hold it until you request it. You'll be asked if you want an emergency. You'll also be asked if you want an emergency draw You are asked this regardless of how you answered previous question. You can get half of your projected credit if you have that, up to $500 on the first day of classes. And if you asked us to send your money as soon as it's available, that's all you need to do. If you told us that you wanted to indicate a specific time, you'll be asked if you are ready to request funds and can specify amount and date during financial clearance. You can't send money before we receive it, so it's going to be sometime during about the third week of classes. In addition to this process, we also have a credit balance request form on our website that you can use to request funds from your account. And I want to go over a few things that you should make sure that you've completed right now. One, if you still need to sign up for classes, you don't have those yet kind of enrolled and registered, you should contact your advisor to finalize your academic plan. Once the plan is finalized, your advisor will send your academic plan to Office of Graduate Studies, or they'll send it to you to register for classes to get enrolled through PeopleSoft. If you were accepted into a graduate program with courses still in progress and have graduated, but you haven't yet submitted your final transcripts, or maybe through the process you just sent us unofficial transcripts, you want to send us the official final transcripts as soon as possible, with your final grades all listed there and degree conferred, and that date on there is also important that we need. Without this, your loan disbursements can be affected and you will have difficulty with financial clearance. And again, most of this will apply to those of you within the US as eligible citizens or non-citizens. You should double check to make sure that no outstanding items or holds on your to-do list. Once you are enrolled, make sure that registration finalization, including financial clearance, has been completed. Registration finalization is the process to ensure you've completed all necessary items to be enrolled, signed any waivers, check those boxes, mentioned whether you have insurance or not. You can complete this process through the Student Center in my WallaWallaU, PeopleSoft. Registration finalization means that all to-do items, holds, enrollment, financial clearance items have been completed. Once you finish the process, you'll know you're done because you'll see the jumping sign, a nice little character down there in the bottom right. During orientation, you'll have your photo taken, or time to take your photo and get your ID card, and those will be processed through the IT office. If you are joining us and attending our Billings, our Montana campuses, photo will be taken of you, and then you can sent to the College Place for processing. And your card will then be sent back to the campuses once we have all the cards ready. ID cards are only validated for charging after registration has been finalized. The ID card process is handled through the IT department, and there will be more details coming for those of you who need ID cards or wish to have one. We are planning, there should be an option for you to upload a photo and then specify where you need that delivered. But if you have questions, you can, of course, contact Help Desk, or when you may attend here for classes in person, that applies for your program, you can stop by the Help Desk and get your student ID card. If you're on the main campus in WallaWalla, College Place, Washington, ID card can be used for the cafeteria, bookstore charging, the express. You can use it to access many different doors, such as the gym in the Winter Educational Complex and the library on College Place campus. So you'll need it for a lot of different access to buildings, especially during after hours. Also, you might be able to use it at local businesses, wherever you are, that may offer a student discount with a valid ID. All right, in College Place, Washington, the main campus, we have a number of apartments for students as well as houses for families. Just wanted to touch on this a little bit in case any of you are still looking or wondering options available to you. These are made available on a first come, first served basis. you have not made housing arrangements and you would like to utilize some university-owned places to be able to have that charged to your student account, or use possibly student loans that you might need to pay for that, you can begin the process at wallawalla.edu/village, where you'll complete an application and we will add you to the wait list. Usually there is a wait list that they'll go through, so definitely just fill it out. You'll be offered a place when one comes up, or asked if you're still looking, and then you can decide from there if that's a fit for you. Whether you live in our campus or not, all of our students are automatically enrolled in a system called OmniAlert. And this is our emergency campus alert system. In an emergency, students will also receive alerts via text messages and emails. In addition, our campus siren will sometimes sound, depending on the emergency. And parents or spouses are able to also opt in if they'd like to receive these alerts by providing their contact info at wallawalla.edu/OmniAlert. They'll receive the same messages as our students. And while parents and spouses can elect to receive the information about emergency situations, there is some info that we can't share with them. That is related to FERPA, or the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Sometimes spouses of graduate students want to know information about the student who's enrolled in classes, sometimes maybe parents or others that may have a relation or have a relation to that student at some point. They may want to know their account balance, their grades, their schedule, how much the student borrowed, etc. But the university cannot share this kind of information with anyone except you, the student. This is where the federal law called Federal Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, known as FERPA, comes into place. It applies to all areas of campus, but with finances that you most often run into the issue. We need to have your permission, the student's permission, before we can talk to anyone else about your account. It's easy for you to grant permission on my WWU. You can tell us who we can talk to, who we should mail a statement to, who we should send email reminders to, and who we should not talk to. You can also choose to have statements mailed to multiple people. You can authorize other users to see electronic statements. And this is also why no one else can call to reset your password to your student account, because of FERPA. Computer support, the help desk can only reset password for you, the student, when they contact them. All right, and another question you usually get as it's leading up here, usually in September is when most students will be looking for their textbooks. This is a slide to show you, hey, where do you get textbooks? So you can get them through our bookstore that is affiliated with Barnes & Noble College, or Barnes & Noble. But most students will go to that website, enter the classes that they're enrolled in for the fall, because you have to enter your term, the department area that you're studying under. You'll need the course number and then section. Sometimes there's multiple sections, same class. So you want to know that kind of specific information to see what your teacher might have posted or professor had posted as far as materials required. So you can go to wallawalla.bnccollege.com, and you'll be able to click on find materials and enter the information there to get the ISBN number. You can, of course, purchase them through the bookstore if you'd like. Most of the time, the used book prices aren't always available. So if you are trying to be budget conscious and look at that, I'd base it most often off what the cost of the new price for that book is. But of course, you can select used. If used is not available, they do typically insert the new one and adjust the charging to the new price. So just be aware of that. And once you have that information, you get textbooks. Like I said, most students will handle this in September, the week or two leading up to classes, which for most of us will begin September 25. The other things that I want to make sure that you've done is, if you just want to look online for the list of what are the kind of the overall enrollment steps that maybe I can just look through from submitting my application to what I should be thinking about in August and September. You can get those at wallawalla.edu/new steps. And that will give you a web page, and you'll be able to select yourself if you're an international graduate student, a Canadian graduate student, or just a US graduate student. You can click on those that are applicable to you and get all of the steps and details needed. All right, that is all the information I have to share. Hopefully, short, sweet, to the point. But this page has additional questions. If you do have those, you can, of course, put those in the chat box. You can send them privately, or I think you have the option to send to everybody as well if you'd like. And then we'll answer some of them out loud. Some of them we might respond back to individually. And of course, we can always connect later at any point in time. Email, call, definitely here. If you're unsure where to go to, who to ask the question to, I would say call that first number that's highlighted in yellow there, the WallaWallaU University toll-free number. That goes to our main line that's always staffed between at least 9 and 5, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to noon on Friday. And they would be able to assist you. It might come to me, or it might come to a department area. Additional resource I would say is help desk is most commonly used for graduate students kind of getting on. A little bit housing and student financial services listed there near the bottom. Those would be the top ones that our graduate students interact with. But I hope this everything we've covered today gave you a little bit overview of what you should be thinking for setting up that MyWoo, doing financial clearance, those things. Gave you a good understanding of what to do, next steps to take. And you're always welcome to call me with any questions you may have along the way. I do have a link here I'll send out to everyone. Before some of you might be wanting to cut out early, before you do that, click that link if you would. Just give us a kind of brief description on how the webinar went, things that you might find helpful to know or would like to have included in there next time that we can improve this for our future students. But let's go ahead and get to some questions here. I see a few of them have already started populating, so we'll begin with our first one. So one question is what's the difference between WallaWallaU University's financial award and FAFSA's? So the main difference is the FAFSA is that free application for federal student aid, and that's something you'll fill out with the government. It primarily is going to be a qualifier for colleges to know how much need a student may have, a little bit of information about them, so we know how to direct the limited kind of resources or funds that might be available. As a graduate student, most of you will get WallaWallaU University institutional funding like a need grant or merit award for good GPA. But the FAFSA completion, just that alone, will allow you to get access to those government student loans. And they also have a Graduate Plus loan if you do need more for eligible qualified expenses, and to learn about what those are beyond maybe housing or a new computer that you might want to use those funds towards. Work with Student Financial Services. They'll guide you and mentor you, make sure you're making a smart decision with the amount of funding that you receive and the amount of loans that you might be taking out. And then WallaWallaU University's financial aid, graduate student aid application is just much shorter, just trying to verify that who you are, and it will ask how many credits you're taking each quarter, so they know about what your enrollment level might be, what to plan for when they package the award. So ours is very, very short and different than the government's financial aid application. All right, so we have another one is kind of, I think, general timeline. So if you are applying, or some of you were invited to this webinar that are in the process of being reviewed for acceptance. And that does vary a little bit by program, and yeah, it varies by program, but generally our goal is to get you a decision within 4 weeks. Ideally, we're trying to get that down to a week turnaround time, but we do have a lot of students with some departments right now that are being reviewed. So hopefully we are trying to push everyone through to get at least those that have been in for a week or so already to get notified next week is our hope on kind of Wednesday or Thursday. So that'll give you a little bit of time frame to estimate for. We have another good question for Billings campus students. When is that start? Does that also start on September 25? Yes, classes will start September 25th. What you want to look at your schedule and your look up your class, which you can do so either online or calling me or the office there as well in Billings. But main classes will start September 25. You want to just confirm when your first class does start, if it's at 8, 8:30, or maybe your class doesn't start until 10, lucky you. But most of the students in the social work program, which is the Billings campus, we also have social work masters in that on College Place campus. Typically your classes are usually full day. 8:30 is the first start time until about 8 p.m. in the evening. So plan for a full day of classes, just that one day, and then you're done. All right, we have another good question, which I will have to follow up with you a little bit later, but for those of you that may be on here that have received for the Master of Social Work program, applied for that Balmer Behavioral Health Scholarship and were awarded that, you should have gotten a letter, I think, that was mailed out to you that should stipulate some information in the amount, but I will double check and get back to you on where you find out exactly how much you were awarded. I'm involved with part of the process, but Dr. Springer, program director for MSWs, is lead person on that, and we'll be able to get that information. So I'll send you an email, hopefully within the next couple of days, about that. All right, then we have a question: what software might be used for classes or online classes, and do you need a webcam microphone? Some classes may be listed as online or might occasionally use, even if it is a face-to-face class, still will likely use this kind of software, but it is called Microsoft Teams. So some classes are listed as ARR for like arranged online, and that means there's not a set date time. You should pay close attention though to the syllabus and any post for class. All other classes will list the day and time, meaning you should be in front of in class at that location, or if it is online, you'll be using Microsoft Teams, and you'll want to open up Microsoft Teams, have webcam and microphone accessible. Some might utilize Teams just for chats or for homework for other postings, but most of the time you'll be in class and using what we'll be covering in more detail, both Teams and this other piece, which you use mostly for posts and uploading kind of homework to, is the D2L Brightspace. That's what you'll be using most often. And our technology tools webinar, I believe, is coming up in a couple weeks here on September 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So you can go ahead and register for that now as well at the WallaWallaU/webinars. You can listen here, or workshops. Multiple ways to get there, but if you go to that link, you can register for the upcoming webinar as well on September 6th about technology tools that we'll use. The D2L Brightspace overview is really helpful. We have a short video that will play in that one, that presentation. So where can you see classes? Let me see if I can look up that link and send it to you. I know if you go to WallaWallaU, both like our main webpage, depending on if you're on mobile or on a desktop laptop, under academics, it's kind of like a heading, usually main header on top. Under academics, there's a class schedule, and you can click that link, takes you to a web page called Classroom itself. See if I can send that in this link in the chat menu. But if you go there, you can search up classes by department, campus, and level. For most, like all of you, it should be level of grad or graduate student, and then you can select your campus. It defaults to, I think, the year view when you're searching for classes, but you can click the drop down, choose 23, 24, or you can choose each individual quarter. So fall 23 is what I would recommend, and then you can make sure your campus is either College Place or Billings, I would think, for all of you. And then you can see a list of the courses being offered there, all of them. It will say the meeting time, which would be Mondays for the Master of Social Work students, and then it will say either ARR or Classroom Online. And then it should also list the professor, although some of them might still be being assigned to a professor or could potentially be maybe a contract teacher. Yes, another great question came up is, what if you missed financial clearance webinar? Are you able to watch it? Yes, you can certainly still watch that. You can watch this webinar, which will be up shortly, probably at least by next week, mid-next week. But you can access a lot of those. It starts off with the undergraduate webinars, but at the link listed on this slide, WallaWallaU/workshops, also works if you put /webinars, gets you that page. So I just chatted that link for some of you to be able to click on or maybe save. You can go to that page. The first one is preparing for fall for undergraduate students, but then how to pay for college would be potentially one of you, but financial clearance would be the third, I think, option down, or fourth. And you can watch that webinar from YouTube. And so they did that back on August 9th. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll be able to see the next webinar for graduate students, which will be offered September 6th at 6 p.m. So great questions. If you have more, feel free to send them over through the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them. So I'm just going to leave this page up here as well, because it's to include where to go to link to tell us what you thought about the presentation, as well where to find those webinars. All right, I had someone wondering what the link was for getting textbooks, where you can view that. You can view textbook information, make purchases like through our campus bookstore. If you're nearby or local, great, do that in person. Pretty much everyone, and even a lot of us that are local, will go to the website and look up that information. So I sent that as well in the chat to the WallaWallaU.bncollege, short for Barnes and Noble, college.com. So if you go to that website address, WallaWallaU.bncollege.com, you can enter in your class information, and see if there's textbooks that are required. For biology students, I don't believe you have to purchase textbooks. A lot of yours will be working with the professor in the labs on research, and then teaching those undergraduate labs that we have for biology. But for a lot of the others, students on here, I'd recommend going there and entering your course information that you have so far, or ones that you may anticipate having, and see what the textbooks and how many are required. Of course, free to source those from anywhere you wish. If you'd like to use Amazon, eBay, Chegg.com, or another online source, feel free to do so. But you can get those from our bookstore and then sent or delivered to your house if you're not going to pick them up. But I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you are short on time or crunch for time and need to leave, you can certainly feel free to do so. This webinar will be recorded, or is being recorded, and should be uploaded to the website probably within a week here that you can access. I'm going to go leave my information here in the chat. I believe all of you should already have it, but just in case, that is my information that you can contact me, email, or give a phone call. If I'm not available, just leave a message. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But looking like we answered all the questions right now. Some of you I have to get back to a little bit later. But I want to say thank you for watching the presentation. I hope it was helpful, that you feel a little bit more comfortable and prepared for starting fall quarter. Some of you I know have been doing this and are just continuing the journey, and others have been out a little bit, enjoyed work, other activities, and now trying to get back into kind of being in school mode. So hope it was helpful. Again, if you missed other presentations or have friends that missed this one and they want to watch it, you can watch the recordings online at wallawalla.edu/workshops, and we'll have all of them listed on that page, and future ones that are still maybe happening to register for as well. So we'd love to have your feedback about today's presentation. If you take a moment to go to the web address there, or the one that I sent in chat, I'll resend it so it's at the top. That would be great. We'd really like to know what you thought and how we can maybe make this presentation a little bit better. So if you think of anything, forgot to ask, call me later. You can call us at the Graduate Studies Office at 509-527-2421, or email grad.studies@wallawalla.edu. If you want to reach me directly, you can call 509-527-2290. So a big thank you to all of the viewers for joining us, everyone that attended. I look forward to seeing you part of WallaWalla Graduate Studies family this fall quarter, this upcoming year. I wish you the best, be well, and have a good night. It doesn't look like there's any more questions, so I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.